Hello everyone, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans, and North Melbourne is heading into season 2025 with a new look leadership group. It was announced this afternoon that Simpkin will be the solo captain of North Melbourne in season 2025, with Nick Larkey and Sheezel appointed co-vice captains of the club. Luke McDonald made the decision to step down last week before voting took place. There has been no word around an extended leadership group. There may be some news of that to follow. There may just be the three of them leading us into season 2025 and beyond. There's no further word on that. But I'm here today to talk through the news that we do have on hand, and undoubtedly the biggest story is Luke McDonald deciding to step down as co-captain after 2 seasons. Let's get into it. Before I get into what this means for him and his career and his future at North beyond season 2025, I just want to touch on Luke McDonald as a person. He is an incredible servant of our football club. He's played over 200 games. He was born into a North Melbourne family. He's been a supporter his entire life. And no matter what you think of him as a player, what you've thought of him as a leader, as a captain, there have been some incredibly horrible things said about him on social media over the past few hours since the news was announced this afternoon. No matter what you think of him, like I said, as a player, as a person, as a captain, as a leader, whatever, show him a little bit of respect. I don't think that respect is hard to come by. I don't think being kind and thanking him for his time and his service as a captain over the past 2 seasons is hard to come by. I think a lot of people underestimate probably what this club means to him and what he has given to the club his entire life, not just since being recruited as a player and obviously the past 2 seasons as a captain. We all love the club as supporters and want what's best for the club, and it's very rare that you have someone who grew up their whole life supporting one club being drafted to that club, especially Luke McDonald. Donald McDonald was a legend at North Melbourne, and what this club means to him and what he has given, you can never question the effort. You can never question the love for the club and for the jumper. And I just think that he probably does deserve a little bit more respect than he has been shown over the past few hours. So I just want people to keep that in mind. Like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion of what they think of him as a player and what they think of him. I don't think people really question him as a person, but what they think of him as a player and the value that he does hold to this club and to this side on field and off field. I just think a bit of credit and respect where it's due, and I think it's definitely due. Like I said, over 200 games for the club and over a decade of service and growing. I just think that, a little bit of love and respect and a bit of, thank you and congratulations for his 2 seasons as captain probably is a nice place to start before we open the door to a conversation about what his role in North Melbourne looks like in season 2025 and beyond. So we can be kind, but we can also be critical when talking about Luke McDonald. I guess the conversation probably does change a little bit and what his future on field at North Melbourne does look like in season 2025 and beyond. I've obviously done my best 23 for 2025 and I had Luke McDonald in the side. I put him in there largely for the leadership qualities that he can bring, and I think that the effort and the intent is really important to instill in the younger players. I still stand by my decision to put Luke McDonald in the 23. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, and that's totally okay. Going into round 1 this season, I think that he does start in our best 23. I did say in that video, and I stand by these comments too, that the door should be open for a guy like Goda or even a guy like Miller Bergman or a guy like Riley Hardiman to come in and take his spot sometime during the season. And I feel that if he has been replaced by season's end, then we've definitely come a long way and we've really developed in that back line. I stand by everything I've said and I don't waver from those comments or that mindset. I know there's going to be a lot of people who do disagree with me, and that's okay. That's just how I see it. I still think that despite the fact that he's not officially a captain, I think McDonald does have a lot to offer. It also kind of opens the door for me and Luke McDonald. Maybe he'll just start to enjoy his footy again. I remember when Jack Ziebell stepped down as captain at the end of 2022, his 2023 season was awesome. He just played with so much freedom. He just played with a lot of enthusiasm. He kind of looked rejuvenated. He just kind of looked like he had the weight of the captaincy relieved from his shoulders And we looked to really enjoy footy, and I was quite surprised at the end of season 2023 when he made the decision to retire. I thought that he would just play on because I thought that he actually had one of his best seasons that year. So maybe that's the way Luke McDonald goes as well. I don't know. And obviously time's going to tell. I do think he will have the opportunity to prove himself. Despite the fact that Luke McDonald will be 30 this year, our list as a whole is still the youngest list in the competition. Despite him approaching 30, despite the acquisition of Parker and Darling in the off-season. So we still have a relatively young list, and they could still learn something from McDonald. And for a club that has potentially lost its identity around the shin bonus spirit and what it means to be a North Melbourne person over the past sort of 4 to 5 seasons, and we have sort of been lingering down the bottom of the ladder, all of that stuff is really important. I think it's also important to remember that players do vote in the leaders. So Luke McDonald was voted in by his peers as a co-captain of the club. Whether you agree with the decision, whether I agree with the decision or not, it was decided by the players. So obviously they look to him as someone of inspiration and as a leader. So I think all those things are really important to remember. Whether his on-field form is going to be good enough in season 2025, it's a wait and see for me. Do I think he starts in the side? Yes. Do I think he's more vulnerable to lose his spot in the best 23 should he not perform? Yes, of course I do. I've been of the mindset that he should be vulnerable to lose it at any point this season. Maybe stepping down as captain opens the door more and maybe makes him more vulnerable than he might have been otherwise. But I do think for our club to develop and for our club to start moving on, then that has to be an option. But if he, on the flip side, does start to perform and does have another season like he did in 2020, was his career best year. He won the Sid Barker medal that season. If he can have a season like that or something like that, shades of 2020, then I also think that if he earns his spot in the 23, he should be there. And I would love for him to just play with a bit of freedom and enjoy footy, because that could also be a really great result, not just for him personally, but for the club as a whole. This does mean that Jai Simpkin will captain the club solo in season 2025. I'm really interested to see what he can do. He didn't perform at his best for a lot of season 2024. However, when he was able to dig deep and to set the tone from the start, the West Coast game in Perth is the ultimate example, but he was excellent against Hawthorn in that last game in season 2024. It was an otherwise forgetful game, but I think he kicked 3 goals and he was easily our best player. So I think there's an opportunity here for Jai to make the role his own and to really step up as a leader in all sense of the word. I think a lot of the talk around the Luke McDonald, Jai Simpkin co-captaincy was Jai was really the leader on field, whereas Luke McDonald was maybe more of the morale guy and the captain, the spiritual captain off the field. Now Jai obviously has been able to step in and fill that role as a complete. I really like the solo captain thing as well. It says to me that Jai is in a position now where everyone feels like he's probably strong enough to be that captain. And I think we do need strong leadership at North Melbourne. I think the co-captaincy thing was probably a good for the time that it was in place. But now I do think we're at a place where, as a collective, we're all really looking to charge up the ladder. And I think this will be our year where we do start to see drastic improvements. Having a strong leader at the front in Jai Simpkin is really, really important. Now the pressure is going to be on him to be able to deliver on field. Hopefully an injury-free, concussion-free pre-season will definitely help him in that respect. And I am really looking forward to seeing what he is able to bring now that he can solo captain. Finally, our co-vice captains have been announced. Nick Larkey will vice captain the club once again, and he'll be joined by 20-year-old Harry Sheezel, who many look to as one of our strongest leaders and future captain of this football club, and this is probably the first step in that direction for Harry. I'm glad that Harry Sheezel isn't captain of this football club just yet. I think at 20 years old, he definitely just needs time to enjoy his footy and still grow into himself and what he wants to be as a leader. I think throwing him into that position officially at such a young age may not necessarily be to his advantage, maybe to his detriment. And I know that so many supporters really do look at him as the leader of this football club, and I think that they're desperate for him to take on that role. And I think there is no doubt in my mind that he will inherit the captaincy at some point in the next 3 to 5 years probably, but for now I think North coming back to a solo captain structure is probably the first step in the right direction. I think give Jai Simpkin 2025, see what he can do as a captain. Potentially he might, like I said, there's pressure on him to perform, but he could thrive under that pressure and really just embrace the responsibility of being the captain. I have no doubt that both Nick Larkey and Harry Sheezel will fulfill that co-vice captaincy role well as well. They all have incredible leadership qualities, and I think they will all be a great asset to this club from a leadership perspective. I also think that now we do have really strong, experienced leaders just at the helm to join core and to join Griffin Logue and to join Luke McDonald. Obviously, you've got Parker, you've got Darling, you've got Daniel. While they're not in official leadership roles, they are at the club and they do know what the standard of leadership needs to be at. So it will really help bolster a Simpkin, a Larkey and a Sheezel to be able just to learn more from these guys, not necessarily in an official way, but in an unofficial way, and can help them really uncover the kind of leader that they want to be, because all captains, go about things their own way on the field and off the field. And I think it's going to be really important for them to embrace their own style and their own personalities when leading this club in 2025 and beyond. It's exciting. I think we probably did need a little bit of a shake-up, just something new. It kind of says to me it's marking the start of the next chapter. And I do, like I said, I love Luke McDonald, and I think he's such an incredible asset to this football club off the field, and he has been on the field for quite a long period of time too. But we're now here to change the guard. We are really drawing a line in the sand, and it's a new look North Melbourne moving forward, reaffirming once again for me that this is the start of our next chapter, and this is the start of us charging now towards our 5th premiership. And for so many of us, we feel it, and tangible things like a change of leadership structure, I think, probably affirm it and really solidify it and make me believe even more that the change is real and the change is here. Just bring it on. Just bring the season on. I'm ready. I'm so ready. And I'm sure you guys are as well. But those are just my thoughts. And now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of North Melbourne's new look leadership group heading into season 2025? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Kanga TV. The closer we get to season 2025 starting, the more content is going to start coming your way. So don't miss out on any of that. We can also continue the conversation on social media. Facebook, yes, we're on Facebook now, along with Twitter and Instagram, Kanga TV Show. You can also share all of your own stories, thoughts, feelings to kangatvshow@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.
I just love this footy club. I'm so disappointed with how we've gone over the last few years. At the end of the day, my number one strength as footballer is my competitiveness, and I feel like that's why I got the number 11. So I'm certainly really disappointed and not satisfied with how we've been going. But I'm just so proud to be a North Melbourne person, and I'm so excited to turn this ship. And I know with you guys we've got now, that it's going to happen. Being a North Melbourne person, it's all I've ever known. Wearing the 11, being captain, it's. If you had told me this stuff when I was 10, I would have just probably cried. You know what I mean? Because it's just all I ever wanted to do was play for North.